All right. Welcome to another episode of To Buy or Not to Buy. Today we're going to look at another market, see what we see what we can find, and we'll go from there. Please do be advised. This is not investment advice. Do not invest based solely on the opinion of others. Make sure to do your own research, do your own valuation, evaluate your own options, and make your own independent decisions. All right, so for today, let's look at Los Angeles metro area. Let's go ahead and see what we got. Change our industry to laundromats and coin laundry. Oh, that's not what we wanted. All right, let's start here. Established coin-operated laundromat for sale, Orange County, California. Asking price $1.1 million, cash flow of $157, and gross revenue of $480. All right, let's see. So located in the southern part of Orange County. Interesting looking at a different city. Los Angeles, from the time I've spent there, seems to be very sort of segmented, where people tend to stay in their little areas. So while Los Angeles is a big city, it's actually, to me, it felt more like a lot of smaller like cities. They're still big, but smaller cities that are all close to each other. So typically, people that are in Southern Orange County tend to, from my experience, tended to stay kind of in Southern Orange County. Could be totally wrong, but the traffic can be horrendous. And so my understanding is people tend to avoid going too far from their sort of little part of the city unless they have to. But again, anybody from Southern California, chime in, tell me I'm wrong. All right, so offering a simple, low-maintenance business model with minimal labor. Okay. These turnkey operations are clean, well-maintained, and strategically positioned. Walk-in traffic and strong year-round revenue. Currently operated absentee, this business presents a compelling opportunity for an owner-operator. Okay, so they want an owner-operator or an investor. Interesting. Let's see if they give us more information on that. Automatic magnet door lock systems that open and close on a timer, allowing for smooth, unattended store. Okay, so they are unattended. That makes more sense. All right, so not far from Disneyland and major hotels. So it looks like they don't do fluff and fold or wash and fold. There's different names for it. Or, some people call it full service. Owners retiring. 2 part-time employees, 1 per location. All right, so yeah, you could launch fluff and fold. That would make sense. So the question here is, we don't get a whole lot of information about how big these locations are and what the breakdown is between them. So one of the things you got to watch out for in these deals, and I've seen this more times than I care to admit, but people will have one location that's doing really well, and they'll put 2 locations together and try to sell them based on the performance of one location. So one of the important things, if this was a deal you were looking at, you'd need to understand, location A and location B. Are they equal? Is one way better? Is it a little bit better? Like, what's the gist of how the revenue breakdown goes? As well, it says you could add fluff and fold. You could. That is definitely a place that you could invest, and you could build a business. However, if you're going to go that route, also know that's going to completely change the dynamics of the business, because now you're going to have people. You're going to have far more than 2 part-time people. And so when you go start to do fluff and fold, you're going to have more people. It's going to increase the amount of sort of like management overhead and the operational drag inside the business. And not that that's a bad thing. It's just something that you got to know if that's what you want to do with this business. Not to mention, I'm not saying it's outrageously priced, but it feels overpriced. I get it. You're getting 2 locations, but if you got 2 locations that are unattended and are doing, $157,000 a year in cash flow, I mean, I got to think you're going to have a hard time even getting this financed, even if you're a highly qualified buyer, simply based on that the multiple. I just don't think it's. I don't know of many banks that were going to do that, especially right now. So, I mean, it has been around a while, but then that's another question where you got to understand how old's the equipment. Is this equipment really? I would doubt it, but is it 35 plus years old? Again, I doubt that it's held on that long, so it's probably been re-equipped or something along those lines. Maybe one store was opened in 90 and one store was opened in 2000. So they could have different equipment ages. These are all the questions you got to answer. So, but just based on that, it seems like we're maybe a little overpriced here. 157 on. That feels a little expensive for 2 locations. So let's see what else we can find. All right, so kind of like we talked about last time, real estate included. Again, not that this is not a good buy, just that's another can of worms. If you're a real estate person and you want to own a laundromat, might be something you should look at. If you're just trying to get your first business, I do not recommend that. The real estate just complicates things. It makes it so that it's harder to tell what's what. All right, let's see. Fully operating laundromat, Compton, California. So not really sure much about the area, other than I think there was a song about this place. So asking 250 on 60,000 of cash flow, gross revenues of 100, so 60% margins. That seems quite high. Fully operating large laundromat with 33 washers and 26 dryers. 13 sets. That's curious to me. It's very curious to me. So typically, that's not the ratio you'd want to see. So that's why I'm saying it makes me curious. Now, what they don't give you is they don't give you what size are the washers and what size are the dryers. But that said, this is where my questions would be is like, that's an odd mix. Waterless water heaters. I think that's a typo. I think they meant tankless water heaters, which, from my experience, are zero fun, sir. I would not do a laundromat with tankless water heaters. I'm sure there's going to be people that'll say take the other side of that argument. My experience with them, no fun. Did not enjoy them. Always having issues. And we were on municipal water in a mud district that was notorious for having water issues, water quality issues. That is, so that probably had something to do with it. But they're a little bit more expensive. They're supposed to last longer. But my take and my experience has been that the 100-gallon, 199,000 BTU water heaters are just rock solid. I think ours are Ream, no affiliation, but great water heaters. We've had really good luck. Just run and run and run, and you always have hot water. But with my tankless, we always had issues with not having hot water or having to fix them, and it takes a special person to fix them. So, long rant to say, I don't like tankless water heaters. I'm assuming they're not waterless water heaters because it'd be kind of hard to have hot water out of waterless hot water heaters. Anyway, new card reading system, security wall. Okay, so it sounds like they have employees considering they have a staff room. They're willing to do $50K seller financing. The rent's $5,000 a month. Okay. So this is a question, and this is purely on the surface. If the rent is $5,000 a month and there are 12 months in a year, that is $60,000 of rent. On gross revenue of 100 and cash flow of 60. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that math works. So this one you're gonna need to dig in, because that does not make a whole lot of sense to me. All right, let's move on. All right, let's take a look at, we're going to skip the real estate. We're going to go to this one. Let's see, Pasadena self-service and full service laundromat. All right, so that's a pretty good description. So they do both. So asking price was $689 on $137, $137,000 of cash flow and gross revenue of $293,000. So doesn't seem out of place. Okay, that's interesting. I wonder if there's a typo, because these numbers are not the same. Maybe they're updated and they didn't update the listing, but they updated the description. Okay, so new machines. That's a good sign. Spider wash. We looked at it. Seemed like a great system. Don't have any firsthand experience with it, but have heard good things. So expensive from what I remember. So 50% cash flow margin. So if that is true, then it does demonstrate an excellent profitability. But that seems a little high. So efficient staffing model with 2 part-time employees and a cleaning person totaling 20 hours weekly. Okay, so they must be doing their full service stuff only at certain times. So, because obviously two part-time people is not enough to run a store full, staffed every day. So 1 cleaning person totaling 20 hours weekly. Yeah. So, what is that? A little less than 2.5 hours a day, 3 hours a day of people there. So self-service model. Okay, so it says they do full service, but then down here it says, where did it go? It says, let's see, maybe we keep reading. Full service capabilities. So interesting. 1,400 square feet. Monthly rent is $4,500. Right? Okay, so it sounds like the more I read, the more I'm thinking that this location does not actually offer full service, but that they're saying, okay, never mind. Then we come down here and it says, okay, it does say down here with a part-time attendant doing fluff and fold service. Okay, so it's part-time and they're only maximally there for 20 hours a week. So there's not probably a lot of fluff and fold going on, but it's there. And obviously they're trying to sell you on the fact that that is how you could expand this business. Excuse me. Let's see. Anything else of interest? 30 to 40% down. So they're probably hinting at traditional financing. Typically people try to go a little bit lower down on the SBA stuff. So it is, according to them, it's remodeled. This feels overpriced. It feels like, again, the seller is looking at it and saying, this could be, if you do this, it could be better and this is worth this. And unfortunately, the reality of selling a business is it's not worth what someone else can do with it. It's worth what you've done with it. And so as a buyer, you want to make sure you're not paying someone else for the work that they didn't do, that you then have to go do. So, if this business, it had a full-time fluff and fold and had somebody there all the time and was doing, 2 or 3x their fluff and fold, which is not impossible. And I would assume in this market, that's probably completely doable. I think maybe that number, maybe the 689 number makes more sense, but it's not doing that. And so you as the buyer would then have to go do that. And that's, you just shouldn't pay for that. You should, that's yours, that's your upside to capture when you do the work. Yeah, I think this is going to have to come down. Probably, I mean, if I'm guessing, $100,000 to $150,000 reduction in purchase price. And that's if this 50% cash flow margin is correct. I guess it could be because they don't have a lot of labor. So that probably makes sense. But I still think on a multiple side, it's a little high. No, thank you. Let's see. Take a look at this one. Santa Ana, California. And of course, they don't give us a lot of information. All right, so our asking price is $695. It was established in 2022. So the equipment's not that old, so that's not really a concern here. It is odd that they're not giving us any actual information. And if it has fast card CCI right here, that information is so simple to get. Gross revenue would be, even if you just gave us self-service, would be so easy to give here. Yeah, this seems, let's see, so 4,000 active loyalty card members, adding 1,000 with balances in the last 12 months. So we've got 10, 18, 22, 24 washers. My experience, just to be transparent, is with laundromats that are significantly larger than this. I think our smallest store that we've ever owned was 46 washers and another 48 dryer pockets. So this is quite a bit smaller. At 4.5 turns on just looking 4.5 turns, that many washers, I don't see how you're getting to a $695 asking price. Obviously, we don't have enough information to make a really educated guess here, but that number seems high. 4.5 turns a day, 24 machines. I mean, if you want to, you can do the math on that. If you want to assume some type of average vend price, you can do that. But I think that's going to be high. But what do I know? All right, asking price $495, and you give us no information. So you want to sell a business, but you're not even willing to give us anything to sort of even remotely look at. Yeah, that's hard. I guess so. Let's just take a look at this picture, see what we can learn from the picture. The equipment doesn't look like it's in bad shape. So big washers, dryers. Do we even get to know how many machines you have? No. Don't do fluff and fold. So you'd have to renegotiate the lease. There's a lot of unknowns. A lot of unknowns on this one. I would really, you'd have to look at this one hard. It's when someone's not willing to give you anything even to start, I think you gotta, the more you're having to pry the information out of people, the more frustrating it gets. Sometimes. Not to say these people, the seller could have all their ducks in a row and have all the information ready for you day one. My experience is when they don't give you even anything to go by, then I think that tends to not be the answer. But who knows? Who knows? All right, well, we'll leave it there today. So that's another 3. What did we look at? 3 or 4 deals today? Just running through them, seeing what we find, see what we see, taking a look. And, obviously what we do today is just a cursory overview, just looking at the basic top end facts. If you have a deal you're looking at and you need to get a more professional opinion, I've been looking at laundromats, buying laundromats, and running laundromats for almost a decade now. I've looked at countless deals. I've made plenty of mistakes, and it's those mistakes that I got to learn from. And if I can help you not make those same mistakes, click the link below, book a call. Let's get to talking and let's see how we can help you. All right. Well, have a great day. Thanks, Jeff from SpinSights. Talk to you all later.